I was making coffee when Cindy came into the kitchen. She was holding a duffel bag and her weekend suitcase, the one she usually took when we visited her parents. She didn't look upset. "I think I need a break," she said, standing a few feet away like she wasn't sure if she should cross the kitchen tiles. "From what?" I asked, though I already knew. "From us," she said. "From the marriage. I just need some time to figure things out. A few weeks, not forever." I looked at her for a long second. She wasn't crying. Her voice was steady. I could tell she had practiced this. Maybe not the exact words, but the delivery. She was prepared for resistance, but I didn't give her any. "Okay," I said and stepped aside. "No questions?" she asked. "No," I said. She blinked. Maybe she expected a fight, or a list of promises, or some grand gesture. But I'd already felt the distance weeks ago. She was here, but only halfway. Sometimes her silence during dinner felt louder than traffic. She walked to the front door. No hugs, no argument. Just, "I'll be in touch," over her shoulder. And then she was gone. The lock clicked behind her. I stood there for a while, not thinking, just standing. That was Saturday. By Sunday, the house felt twice as quiet. Not heavy, just unoccupied. The first week passed like muscle memory. I got up at 6:15. I went to the gym, then the shower. Got myself busy with work, emails. Cindy's slippers were still by the bed. I left them there. I wasn't pretending she hadn't left. I just didn't feel the need to rearrange everything right away. I needed to observe what life felt like without her in it. Strangely, it wasn't unbearable. The silence didn't press on me like I thought it would. Jonathan, my younger brother, came over on Wednesday night. He brought beers and a pizza, like it was college again. He glanced around the living room. "You good?" "I'm all right," I said. We didn't talk much more about it. Just watched the game and cracked a few jokes. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen and noticed her favorite mug was missing from the drying rack, the red one with the chipped handle. She must have taken it. That told me everything I needed to know. You don't pack your favorite mug for a short break. That Friday, I worked late. Came home to a clean house and leftovers. I watched a movie I knew she never liked. Slept like a rock. There were no emotional outbursts, no breakdowns in the shower, just space. Not the kind she asked for. The kind I didn't know I needed. It was the 12th night since she left. I remember because I just poured a drink and was halfway through a documentary about wildlife migration. The kind of slow, quiet thing Cindy used to say made her feel weirdly sad. My phone rang around 11:40 p.m. Her name lit up the screen. She hadn't called or texted once since she walked out. I let it ring twice before answering. "Hey," she said. Her voice was softer than usual. Not shaky, but slower, like she'd had wine or something stronger. "Hey," I said. There was a pause. "I wasn't sure if I should call," she continued. "It's late." I didn't reply. I remembered that documentary you watched last year. The one about Arctic wolves? You told me the alpha pair mates for life. Remember that? I didn't answer her question. "Are you calling to talk about wolves, Cindy?" She exhaled sharply. "No, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot. About us. The quiet here feels different than the quiet at home. Yours feels more intentional." I waited. "Do you miss me?" she asked. That was the moment she really called for. That question. The test. "I don't know yet," I said. Another long pause. "Okay," she whispered. I could hear a song playing faintly in the background. She always played old playlists when she got sentimental. "You don't have to be cold, Martin," she said. "I'm not being cold," I replied. "I'm being clear." She didn't say goodbye, just hung up. I stared at the screen for a few seconds. Then I opened my contacts, scrolled to her name, and hit delete. Not because I was angry, because I didn't want to keep making space for someone who might not be planning to stay. The following Monday, Ava from work caught me in the elevator. She's in sales, sharp-eyed and blunt in a way that makes most people nervous. We'd never talked much outside meetings. "You've got a sec?" she asked. "Sure." She hesitated, then said, "I didn't know if I should bring this up, but I saw Cindy this weekend." I didn't flinch. "Where?" "Riverfield Music Hall, Friday night." I nodded slowly. "She likes that place." "She wasn't alone," Eva added, watching my reaction. "Guy in a gray jacket, tall, glasses. They looked together. How so? Arms touching, shared drink. She leaned into him during the set, smiling. You know the look. I nodded again. Thanks for telling me. She paused. You okay? I'm fine. I wasn't lying. That night, I came home and pulled out our wedding album, sat with it for a while, then slid it into a storage bin in the hallway closet. Not out of spite, just done pretending the photos still matched the present. After that, I opened her side of the dresser. There were still a few things she hadn't taken: a scarf, a perfume bottle, and an old hoodie. I packed it all into a small cardboard box, taped it shut, and dropped it in the garage. No note, no drama, just action. She'd asked for space, she'd used it, but not to think, to try something else, someone else. The next morning, I drove downtown and filed for divorce. No hesitation, just a quiet decision that felt overdue. She wanted a break from the marriage. That's what she said. But I was starting to understand something deeper. She didn't pause the marriage. She paused accountability. It was exactly 3 weeks after she left. Saturday afternoon. I'd just gotten back from a run when the doorbell rang. I opened it and saw her standing there, hair pulled back, hoodie on, no makeup. But it wasn't the look that got me. It was her posture, like she wasn't sure whether to step in or step away. Can we talk? She asked. I didn't move, just let the moment hang there for a second. Then I stepped aside. She walked in like someone returning to a dream they weren't sure they were welcome in. Her eyes swept over the living room like it had been rearranged, but everything was exactly where she left it. Except for her. She stood in the middle of the room, arms crossed. I've been doing a lot of thinking. I waited. These last 3 weeks have been confusing, but also revealing. I thought I needed space to figure things out. But being out there, away from you, the house, everything, I realized I'd taken what we had for granted. Still, I didn't speak. She kept going. I miss the way you made me feel safe, the routine, the quiet, even the little arguments. I miss all of it. I made a mistake. I want to come home. I nodded once, walked into the hallway and came back with the box I'd packed. I set it down between us. Her eyes dropped. Her voice cracked. What is this? Your things, I said, calm, clear. From the dresser, the bathroom, the drawer. She shook her head slightly, as if that might make this part go away. Wait, what are you saying? I met her eyes. You asked for a break. This is what the break gave me. She took a slow step forward. Martin, please, take this, grab your things, and go. Her lip trembled, but she didn't cry. Not yet. She hadn't realized the door she thought she could walk back through had already been closed. She didn't take the box right away. She just stood there, staring at it like it was proof of something she didn't want to admit. I didn't think, she started, voice low, you'd stop loving me this fast. I didn't, I said. I stopped waiting to matter. I was confused, Martin. I needed clarity. Everything felt stuck. I stepped closer, voice even. So, instead of talking to me, you left and filled the silence with someone else. Eva told me everything, Cindy. Her mouth opened slightly. Eva? She saw you. Riverfield Music Hall. Friday night. Said you looked pretty comfortable for someone who needed space. She swallowed hard. It wasn't like that. You don't understand. That guy, he wasn't what I thought. It wasn't serious. He's out of the picture. He left. I nodded. And now you're back. Silence. Finally, she whispered, I never stopped loving you. I didn't answer that. Just looked at her. Not angry, not cold. Just done. You missed the routine, I said. The safety. The quiet. You didn't miss me. She opened her mouth, closed it again. I was building a life with someone, I said. I didn't know you were only visiting it. Then the tears came. Don't do this, she said. Please. We can fix it. No, I replied. You don't get to break it. Test the exit, and then call it home again. I never meant to hurt you, she said, voice cracking. But you still did, I said, and meaning doesn't erase damage. She reached out for my hand. I stepped back. This house, I said quietly, was ours. Now it's mine again. And the peace in it, that's not yours to take. She looked like she wanted to scream, but couldn't find the breath. Her shoulders shook. I pointed at the box. Please, She finally moved toward it. No begging, no last attempt. Just the slow, painful realization that her break came with a price. A week later, Jonathan called to give me a heads up. Cindy had asked about me. She didn't say much, he told me. Just the usual. How I was doing, whether I was seeing someone, questions that didn't need answers anymore. He hadn't told her anything, which I appreciated. There was nothing left to explain. Jonathan hesitated before hanging up. He said I didn't sound mad or even sad. Just done. He was right. I wasn't carrying grief anymore. No tightness in the chest, no midnight questions. It wasn't bitterness. It was clarity. The kind that settles in when you finally stop explaining your worth to someone who couldn't see it. By that point, the divorce papers were already signed. Clean, uncontested. She didn't ask for the house, maybe out of guilt, maybe because she knew I wouldn't budge. We split the rest like adults. No fights, no lawyers clawing at each other. Just documents, initials. When she walked out of that office, she took her copy and didn't look back. Over the next few weeks, I started filling the space differently. I rejoined a weekend basketball league, got drinks with coworkers, went out with someone. Her name was Julia. Smart, direct, nothing heavy, just a simple, honest company. No one brought up Cindy, and I didn't either. But every now and then, I'd get a ping from an old friend or mutual connection. She asked about you. She said she still loves you. She regrets everything. I started answering all of them the same way. Please stop telling me what she says. I'm not listening anymore. Not because I was angry, because it wasn't relevant. Cindy had made a decision. So had I. The difference was, mine was final. You can only rebuild something if both people bring bricks. I wasn't going to carry the load alone anymore. The silence she left behind used to echo. Now it just sounded like peace. 3 months later, I got an invitation to Michael's wedding, a mutual friend from college. I walked in solo, navy suit, clean shave, no expectations. About 20 minutes in, I saw her. Cindy. She was standing by the bar, holding a glass of white wine, laughing politely at something someone said. Her hair was shorter now. She looked thinner, maybe more tired. She spotted me before I could look away. Our eyes met. She didn't smile. Neither did I. She didn't approach. And just like that, the moment passed. No waves, no drama. Just a mutual silence, heavy with what could have been. Lighter, because it never will be. Later that night, I stepped outside to get some air. I thought about the first time Cindy and I danced at a wedding. How tightly she held my hand. How sure everything felt back then. And then I thought about now. This strange, full-circle moment where I could see her across the room and feel absolutely nothing pulling me back. That was the real ending. Not the box, not the door closing behind her, not even the words we traded 3 weeks after she left. It was that glance across a room, both of us knowing the story had already closed itself. A few people asked if I wanted to join them for drinks after. I said yes. As I walked out of the venue, I took one last look behind me. Cindy was still inside, surrounded by familiar faces, but entirely out of focus. I turned back to the street, hands in my pockets. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like anything was missing. Not her voice, not her presence, not even the silence. Just peace. And that was more than enough. Thank you for watching.